We're going to start out the last edition of Pinkbike Live here in Whistler 2017 with the Troy Brosnan start gate prep thing, the Monkey Wave. How's it going? Thanks for tuning in. This is the one, honestly, that I've been waiting for all week. Nothing against all the other ones. It's been a blast. But Slopestyle is tomorrow, so we have the young gun, Emil Johansson, and then Martin Söderström, the legend. We're going to start out with these guys. We've got a few more secrets hidden behind the camera for you. But guys, thanks for showing up.
Thank you for having us. Always a pleasure, Cam. I've been wanting to hang out with you since you were in Sweden, so this is the perfect time.
We got to hang out a little bit, one day, and then you had to jet set away because you needed to get one more flight under your belt to achieve like golden spectacular elite status. How's that been going for you? You've been sitting in first class ever since I saw you last?
Dude, I did terrible. I totally misunderstood the whole thing, so I booked a really expensive first class ticket to get to gold status, and then it just SAS really have to make a system for mountain bikers so we can actually understand it.
So we could have hung out longer if you read the fine print. That one's on you, buddy.
It is. Sorry about that, but still, it was a good time though.
Yes, it was a good time. Short but good. Neither of you guys are short, but you're both very, very good.
Oh,
Emil,
good one.
Congratulations, you got a new hat on today.
Thank you.
Explain to me how the news was broke to you that you're now a Red Bull athlete.
I was supposed to do the course preview, and on top, I got a GoPro. I rode all the way down, like really pick it out. I needed to do it this run, like not wait anything. And then when I got down, like standing a bunch of people looking at me, and then
a bunch of people. It was me and Brandon.
Did you? Oh, it was you and Brandon. I was going to ask that.
No, and it was a lot of
people that
cameras
was
and
like
stuff.
in the circle and like looking. A lot of people what's going on. I don't know really. And then I got a new helmet.
So they just had the helmet bag right there
Yeah.
and just unveiled it. That must have been pretty exciting.
It was so sick to see his face expression on like first row seat. It was, dude, you were pretty happy. And the best part was when because the whole lift line was there, and when he took it up, everyone just looked at it, and everyone was like, "Yeah!" So it almost felt like a wedding proposal or something. Everyone was like,
He said yes!
Exactly.
Good thing you said yes too. That would have really blown that.
Imagine, just put it back in the bag and just like,
There you go.
It's been a pretty big year for you, Emil. I mean, more years than we're aware of. You've been climbing the ladder trying to get to this goal, but you kind of burst on to the scene as far as the general public was concerned just exactly a year ago at this contest. How's the last year been for you?
It got really, really fast. Like thinking back, 1 year ago, it feels like yesterday. A lot of hours spent on the bike, more than usually. A lot of trips. I got to see New Zealand. I've been to France. I've been around the world pretty much. So it's been really good.
enjoy it while you can. Me and Cam can say that because it's over so quickly.
Well, it doesn't have to be. See,
But we're still sitting here.
I know. We're not standing over there, but we are sitting here.
No.
But it is true. Can you think back to when you were in that exact same position in your career, where everything's just like a blossoming flower?
Exactly. And it's like, yeah, just so happy when those days are so good, when you're like, you have no restrictions in your mind and like everything is possible, and it's just, I would pay a lot of money to go back to the mindset that Emil is in at the moment.
And I feel like, Emil, it doesn't have to be over quickly. That stuff just happens, you know? I feel like looking at you ride your bike, the way you ride practice smart, you know? You're not being distracted by all the chaos going on around you, and you're not, procrastinating doing your tricks. You get out there, you go for your tricks right away, and I feel like you have a formula that really works for slopestyle. Is that just your general nature, or did you take that from some older Swedish riders who held your hand a little bit? Where did you get that focus?
To be honest, I don't really know where it comes from the beginning.
Party and Whistler.
I don't know. I got more and more focused the more I rode, and I saw a progression coming, and the way I practice works for me, and
Definitely seemed to work.
Definitely
I'm
works.
happy for that. It works out.
So
It's been really difficult.
Pinkbike users, if you're on Pinkbike or if you're on the Pinkbike's YouTube or the Pinkbike's Facebook, we've got a lot of really good questions, probably more today than we've had the entire time. But if you have anything that pops up in your head for these guys, type them in, we'll ask them. James Barton asks, do you often ride jumps as big as the ones in Joyride? And you two are exactly the ones who are appropriate to ask this question to. Obviously, Martin, you've been traveling for years, so you got accustomed to these big jumps. But when you first started out on the scene, you were taking tricks that you learned on tiny jumps and doing them out here. Emil, before you started getting invitations to these big events, how did you learn these tricks, and what size of the jumps were the jumps that you were learning them on?
Not very big, maybe 4 meter to 5 meter gap maximum.
And tell the people how long some of the jumps are here.
The jumps are here maybe 8, like
Twice the
So
size.
like twice the size.
Yeah, the bigger jump in feet were 12, like kick over 3 meters, the landing was 5. Like
So like 38, close to 40 feet for you.
at least twice as big.
Yeah.
Everything like the kicker and the landing.
And so,
And I think that's pretty important actually to say to everyone out there that you don't need to build a perfect like slopestyle course or have it to ride to turn pro. I mean, I turned pro with just basically doing street riding and park riding because that's where you get a whole lot of bike control. Emil has been learning most of his tricks on a mulch jump indoors where it's just space for like a 3 to 4 meter jump. So it's like, I think it's important to say that you don't need all that. Like for everyone, it's actually possible to do it. It's just to put your mind into it and just have fun and ride as much as you can.
I feel like more so than any other nationality, the Swedes have proved that. I remember the first time I ever saw you, young kid coming into a contest, you were doing all your tricks bunny hopping on flat ground. I want to say it was maybe something like Leo Gang, 26 tricks or something, and you're doing hop bars, hop whips, hop 360s, you're probably doing hop trucks and everything like that. So learning the tricks is kind of a physical thing. Not everybody can take a trick that they know how to do on a small jump or on flat and then be able to do it out here. What's the mental approach? What's the mental approach to be able to actually do it on a big jump for the first time?
I don't know, like a lot of people figure out, like it feels like a lot of people, or at least when you do like some trick, you figure it out like in the air. Because when you go faster, the wheel spins faster, so you can't really throw the bar as fast as on flat ground. And just, I don't know, take a few extra practice laps, really feel it out, and then go slower, I would say, like in the movements.
You got to kind of slow your brain down,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
But I think it's definitely a lot about.
We will 1 second.
It's basically a lot about confidence, I
Yeah.
would say. I mean, I would
Who's
say,
this? What are you doing here? Who's
Oh
this?
my God!
How's it going?
Brett Reeder, ladies and gentlemen. How's it going, Brett?
Look at the hat, man. Congrats.
We got a crowded couch now. Last year's defending champion of Joyride, Brett Reeder. It's probably been a pretty busy week here. Has it been a little bit different rolling into Whistler after winning it last year than it was before?
Not really. I'm kind of looking at it like I didn't win it last year because that's probably the best way to go about it. If I want to ride good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Busy village, same practice schedule.
Kind of just keep the focus on the course and let all the other stuff kind of just dissolve in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. So we've got a question that this can go for anybody, and you guys were just talking about I'll bring you up to speed. We're talking about somebody's wondering how do these guys learn tricks on small jumps and then they're able to do them on the big jumps. You kind of had a similar approach. You built as big a jumps as you could in Ontario, but at a certain point when you started to get onto the big gold level contests and stuff, you had to just flip the switch and do them on bigger features. But now DBC3 on Pinkbike wants you guys to pick apart a trick or a line that another rider on the panel has done that blew your mind, or a trick that's underappreciated or just verging on insane. So Martin, you said you had an idea for this. Pick a trick that either of these guys have done that really blew your mind, something that maybe you couldn't ever imagine yourself doing, and explain why it blew your mind.
That's like my daily routine riding with Emil. It's like I can pick any day with insane stuff. But one thing that I was so impressed about was in Innsbruck when I saw you dropping in on your first run and you did 360 double truck to down whip and you slipped the pedal in the landing and then you go up for the second run and you're like, I think I can squeeze in one more bar spin before that down whip. So you do a
What
triple
the
truck
heck?
to down whip. And just that mental game to be like, okay, I messed up my first run, but I'm still gonna make an even harder run just to win. I mean, that was, I get goosebumps
Yeah.
again. That's like crazy.
Back in the day, it seems like the strategy would be, okay, learn from your first run. Okay, well, I don't have that trick down, so I better do something that I'll definitely land.
And then maybe do one bar
did
spin
something
to down whip. Exactly.
He changed it, but he changed it by adding something to it. It's like, that just blows your mind. Oh my goodness. So, if that's where you're at right now, this is a really funny question to ask. 18 or 19? How old are you? 18. An 18-year-old. Somebody asks you, Rico8 asks, Emil, what's your 5-year plan?
Oh,
Can you even possibly think that far into the future?
5-year plan.
He was only 13 5 years ago.
23 by then. Probably.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
A year younger than me.
Yeah.
So look at where he's at right now,
Baby.
and then add a bar spin.
Dude,
So-
exactly, yeah. Dude, we're not gonna be able to count the bar spins when you're 23. It's just
I'm
gonna
gonna
be,
have to let somebody else commentate these events. You keep doing that many bar spins. I've never been that
A
good at
robot
math.
just counting everything.
What are some goals for 5 years? We can watch the replay of this in 2022
better
or whatever. that would be.
question, what do we think he's going to be doing in
Yeah,
5 years?
yeah. You can never get outside yourself. Brett, where do you think he's gonna be in 5 years?
I think Emil is going to be winning contests solidly in 5 years from now.
he's already doing that, so that's not even.
I know, but in 5 years, that's where he's going to be.
That is
Domination.
very true.
The quest for domination.
Yeah.
You never know. The quest for domination could take 6 months. It could take 5 years. It could never happen. For every rider, it's different. But obviously, you have your eyes on the prize. That little smirk on your face says it all.
Little swear.
We are definitely gonna enjoy the show. Let's say that.
So, to you two, Luke from Pinkbike asks, how is practice going? Obviously, he's referring to Joyride tomorrow. Have you nailed every trick you want to do, or are some so gnarly that you only want to send them in the main show? Quickly, before we get your answers, Martin, when we were doing this, I feel like there was always a trick in the back of your mind that you just didn't even think about practicing because you couldn't muster up the strength and the courage without the crowd cheering for you. But these guys, it seems like it's impossible for them to be hiding anything because they're throwing everything out the first day of practice. If you guys want to answer this question, feel free. If you don't, it's all good. But are you saving anything for the finals, or have you done everything in practice already?
Okay, first of all, you asked how practice was.
Yes.
Practice has been windy, right?
Yeah.
Like every single day. We haven't had one practice day that hasn't been windy.
And it's kind of difficult to, like, with the wind, because it's coming from so many different sides. Like, if you come down the course, it's like not windy on top, but then like monologue, it's super windy, and then drop is no wind.
And it's
Like
like,
a
look at it right
tornado.
now.
Yeah,
You can
it's
see
a
the
tornado.
flags.
Like the top, you like drop in off the first drop, go across like the first straight, and like the wind's blowing down on you. And then the next one, the next row, it's like hitting you from head on, and then by the time you're at the boner log, it's like there's like this opening in the trees up there, and it's like a tornado swirling.
Does it always seem like it's windier here than any of the other events?
Honestly, I don't know. It's hard to say because I feel like we deal with wind in lots of contests.
Yeah.
But I've never practiced here and had a practice like all of our practice sessions have been windy, and I don't remember that in years past. I remember like at least having like a bit of a session.
Last year, one day was too windy.
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
like a few days were perfect.
Yeah, they were good. So I don't know.
So
So it's got to be like, it's hard to get all your tricks dialed on 12 features with choppy practice windows because there's so many other events going on here in Whistler. But then when every single practice is windy as well, do you feel like because it's such a big event, you have to just push yourself to try the tricks in the wind anyways?
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. You got no
And then
choice. Like,
yeah. You see other people like getting gnarly and it gets you stoked. And then we kind of just all push off each other. I think.
yeah.
I think something a lot of people are always curious about is something that they would never be able to experience, like the vibe during practice. I think people are always wondering, is it very competitive? Are people talking to each other? Or is everybody kind of pushing each other and encouraging each other? Explain to them what it's really like up there during practice.
It's good. Like, I don't see any hard feelings. Like, at all. That's why I enjoy like practicing on this sport over anything else, but it's not like you
Yeah, the group
like
pretty
hate
friendly.
anyone at all. It's more like you just enjoy being there with everybody and riding and just pleasure.
It's like a big session, kind of. I mean, sometimes you gotta like get away from everyone to like do something gnarly, but other than that, like everyone's out there talking and shooting shit.
Are you ever worried about showing too much in practice, or is it more important to just make sure that when you're up at the start for your run, you don't have any question marks? Do you want to land everything in practice before you go for it in the finals?
I think that maybe used to be the approach to like hide what you're doing, but there's absolutely no point anymore. Like tricks are so gnarly and so technical that I don't know, unless I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of trick. You almost gotta crash on to be able to do it like in contest. Like you gotta like feel it out a few times in practice to actually have it 100% when you drop in. Because when the wind is as it is, like moving and stuff, you really want to know what's going on when you go up and not only guessing.
The times have changed though, for sure. Like back when we were competing, like for sure, even me, I used to like not do certain tricks in finals, or sorry, in qualifying, or I used to not do certain tricks in practice, but yeah, now I don't care. I just pretty much am doing everything sure.
You probably sleep a lot better that way with that strategy
you
if you
do.
get your tricks.
You do.
Yeah, definitely.
So one last practice session for you guys today. So I know I'm going to be keeping my eyes peeled watching everything that goes down up there. Last year was kind of crazy. A lot of people had trouble in their first runs. And throughout the season, you see the judges docking tiny little mistakes a whole lot. But for each event, it really comes down to how many people get smooth runs. So one pedal slip at one event may be a bigger dock than at another event because of how everybody else is doing. But one of the questions here was asking if you guys think pedal slips are docked too much. And when I read that question, the first example I could think of was in Innsbruck when Emil, you did the opposite 3-bar to down whip, and it was at the end of a ridiculous run, the same run where he did that 360 triple bar spin a downside whip his regular direction. Do you think that you got a little bit too docked for that?
Yeah, I would say so, kind of, because it's also super hard to say because the judging for slipping a pedal is inconsistent. It's like at one contest you could win having both your feet in the landing on the last jump, and on other contests you just like come a little bit sideways in the landing and you get
Yeah, you don't know how strict
So-
they're going to be.
I definitely sometimes feel like if it would be just like consistent, like when you get a score you see like minus 10 points for pedal slip, then it would be perfect because then you would like know what's going on and why it is like it is. So I don't really think I just got like underjudged or anything, but I definitely want to know like when you get the score you get and when you don't.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a bit of a science to it so you can
Yeah.
really make a plan.
Yeah, because what I heard the judges say to judge the full run as you don't slip a pedal, then take points off. I don't know. I would like to see how much you take off.
Yeah.
So
And
I don't feel like it's always the same.
of course, the slope style, if we're taking questions from viewers, we're always going to get a lot about the judging. And somebody was asking if they think the current judging format is exactly the way it should be, or if there's any need for any restructuring. Martin, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, we were at a FMB meeting the other day and we were talking quite a lot about that because just as the riding part always have to find improvements, we also the board and the FMB also have to find improvements for the sport, so it's getting more and more fair. And I mean, there's many different ways of doing it. Either you do it like you do now and have just judging the whole run and do from 0 to 100, or I would maybe prefer to do just a 1 to 10 on every jump, and let's say a backflip is 5 points, and if you do a really high and perfect backflip, that's maybe 6 points. If it's a low and sloppy one, then it's 4 points. I feel like we need to have a format that the riders understand, that everyone is watching are understanding, and I'm not saying that the judging now is bad. I feel like it's the best judging we've had in a long time.
But
They
definitely,
have a criteria. They have like style, amplitude, trick difficulty, whatever, yada yada yada. Goes on. It's like they need to have a 1 to 10 on every single one on every single feature.
And then like 1 to 10 on like your amplitude, like how good you do it.
So it sounds like you
It
guys
needs to
more or
be
less
broken
agree.
down. It needs to be
Yeah.
broken down way more, like way.
And then like a big criteria where you like could see, okay, he didn't paddle through his whole run. That should actually give him 4 points because it's way harder to not like
for sure.
So in a nutshell, basically every feature meaning something, the number standing for something, and then at the end of all those features individually being scored, an overall thing, it takes into account the variety, the execution, stuff like that.
Like they throw out that score, like, all right, Emil, 94 or whatever. And you don't know how they got that score.
Yeah.
We have no idea. It's like, where did they even, how did that number, why is it 94? Why isn't it in
And
the
then
80s?
let's say like Brett get a 96, and then Nicholi drops in, and I think his run was better than mine, so they put a 95, because that's in the middle. Or then like
It's more about where it ranks rather than what the
yeah.
numbers stand for.
And the thing is, if you would break it down, who did the best run wouldn't like matter, because you would get a perfect score, because that's just the way it should be if you like break it down, and you should not be like needing to compare run to run, because that's like one of the problems I think when they take like, oh, this run was super good because he did this and that, and then this run was also good, but how could we like get a better one? But if you have feature by feature, it's not a doubt about it. Like you get an answer straight
It
away.
should just basically be a fact. It shouldn't be comparing rider to another rider. It should be that round was actually a 90.
Scientifically, a
And-
90.
Yeah, exactly.
I
And
feel like
not
the judging is
comparing to someone
probably
else.
probably good now compared to
Yeah.
how it has been before. Probably is,
I just said that exactly.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like-
So I think we all probably agree that it's in a great place, but it says a lot about the current state of slopestyle. The fact that the judging is good right now, but it could be better. And the sport has evolved so much to the point where it may be possible in the near future to scientifically create a new judging criteria that can be even better. And that leads into this next question from Pinkbike from Rab City. They say, with the insane technical level of tricks and fluidity we're seeing in competitions nowadays, is there any possibility we'll ever see slopestyle mountain biking in the Olympics? If so, is that something you guys hope to see for the future of the sport? Now we're seeing BMX, park, and skateboarding going into the Olympics. So there was a time where it would be a very far-fetched idea to even think about that, but slopestyle is more legit than a lot of sports out there, and we're talking about making the judging criteria even more legit just to uplift the entire sport even more. Do you guys think it's a possibility ever, Olympics?
I'm just gonna jump in there and say that first of all, to all girls out there, that we need more girls in the slopestyle sport, and we would love to have more girls in the slopestyle sport. And I think that's one of the criteria for Olympics, that you need guys and girls, which is totally. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I just hope more riders are gonna start riding.
I think there was a time where that would also be inconceivable, but if you look at what girls are doing now, it's not that far-fetched. You know, it can totally happen. So, and you being the youngest guy, obviously if it was ever to happen, it would happen along in the future. So hopefully your 5-year plan would include training for the Olympics if all goes well.
Exactly. But do you guys, would you like to have it in the Olympics?
It would be my dream ever since I was young.
Yeah.
My dream was to be an Olympic athlete. And
It's pretty cool to compete for your country, huh? Or like stand for something bigger.
yeah, that would be amazing. I would love to do that.
And I remember sitting and drinking coffee or something in France with you and Nyquist, and he said, Brent, what do you think? Maybe you were just telling me about it. What do you think? You going to switch to BMX and go try to get it in the Olympics? Slopestyle's become so specialized. Would that idea ever even cross your mind to try to hop on a different bike, being now at the top of the sport?
After that conversation, I definitely, it got me thinking, like, well, I mean, you could do it.
Look at what he's done.
You could. I mean, you have 4 years to learn a new sport that's somewhat similar, and I think it wouldn't be as easy as I think it is. Just after seeing some of the BMXers come up and try to do slopestyle,
Yeah.
Everyone's had their struggle, but I like literally just moved across the country and like built my like setup that I don't plan on moving from anytime soon. If I wanted to be BMX,
It's a long way to the
Olympic
top.
guy, like I'd have to move back east.
Just build a skate park.
Like go into skate park riding again. My whole mountain bike dream would
Yeah, and I think in the end, kind of dangerous to spread out too much as well. I mean, at the moment where slopestyle is at, it's like you need to put all your energy into that, and you can't start.
And the other thing too that it got in the way is I love mountain biking more than anything, and doing
exactly.
and doing a different sport just for publicity or money or anything isn't. Like I'm not true to that. So yeah, after considering it for a little bit, I remembered like my like key reasons why I ride mountain bikes.
You're a mountain biker.
Yeah, I'm a mountain biker.
Very good answer.
I'm so good. Yeah, maybe slopestyle one day. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I feel like it's cool too, you know, like the fact that you can analyze that and realize the reason why you do it is because you love mountain biking as a whole.
Yeah.
It's got so many different facets to it, like trail riding and downhill and stuff like that. Do you guys feel like you got into the sport because of slopestyle competition, or did you find mountain biking first and then you know, kind of gravitate more toward the air time just because you're gnarly dudes? Emil, did you start riding like BMX, or was it always mountain bike?
My dad bought me BMX for $20. That I used to get to school. That's it pretty much for my BMX career. And then I bought a mountain bike when I was like 6 or 7.
Jeez.
So that's like first time I really started riding more than usual. But that was more like just to get from my house to school in the beginning. And then it kind of escalated quickly.
So you
Yeah,
always
pretty
did-
quickly. If the last year was anything to
Definitely.
base it off of, quickly.
I was cross country. I raced cross country when I was younger. I wanted to race Actually, I wanted to race dirt bikes, and my parents wouldn't let me.
Too dangerous. Now look at what
yeah,
you're doing.
Yeah. And then, so I got a cheap mountain bike, and the only way I could race back east is cross country. So that's how I started. But then slowly, like hitting the jumps at the end of the driveway and working my way up to bigger jumps, and then that just turned into full dirt jumping.
Without a doubt, the goal for a slopestyle career is to keep doing it for as long as possible, achieve as much as you can while you're doing it. You and I, maybe we didn't do it for as long as we thought we would do it. I feel like there was a period of time where we're going to do this forever, yeah. But there's other parts of mountain biking that we have a little bit more time for now, and it's so fun. What do you guys think you're going to be doing in mountain biking if you ever decide, you know, when the time comes to hang out the slopestyle helmet? There's a lot of other things to do. And where would you like to push your riding outside of this slopestyle contest arena when that time comes?
Well, there's been lots of big mountain projects that I haven't been able to be a part of, and it's because slopestyle is important to me right now. So after slopestyle, or after I stop competing so much in that, I'd love to start doing some big mountain trips and kind of explore places that I've wanted to while riding and competing in slopestyle. That's kind of what excites me for the future.
And hopefully that's the formula that becomes just obvious and normal. If you look at slopestyle skiing, slopestyle snowboarding, all those guys when they're done competing, they go into the backcountry and they find big hits and they push the ride in that way. So BMX, you know, it's all contests and everything like that. So it's an exciting thing about mountain biking, probably to be able to have somewhere to go and branch out creatively afterward. Martin, you've been doing a lot of great film projects recently. I watched the one where you went to 3 different bike parks in Austria. Tell me about that. You had challenges that you had to do, different tricks at different bike parks.
Yeah, they definitely have a fun future
Yeah.
in front of them. Definitely, there's so much more than just contests. But I just first of all have to say that it sounds like you guys really have it figured out, that you're doing slopestyle now and not trying to do everything. Because that's one of the big things that I regret in my career, that I was always like, oh, I'm missing out on something. I have to go to Alaska and film something, and then I got injured, and I didn't put all my focus into slopestyle, which I wish that I would have done now, because that's what you need to do to be as good as these guys. But yeah, again, it's film projects is just it's a whole totally different game. I would say in one way it's hard because most of the time you're by yourself, and as you guys said, when you're out on the practice, you still have people to ride with and to push you. Sometimes it can just be that the film crew is like, yeah, that's a 6 spot, do a cool trick there, and you're like, oh. Yeah, I guess I have to, because it's like, but you don't really have anyone to ride with and hype you up. But then at the same time, I would say that really good feeling when you're done with a film project. It's almost the same as when you land a slopestyle run, that you're really happy with what you managed to accomplish, and that's a really cool feeling. But yeah, you're gonna have a good time in the future.
Brett, you've done a ton of legit film projects in the middle of contest seasons. Is it ever hard to balance it all?
Definitely. Yeah, it's hard. You want to stay on your bike and stay fluent with tricks and be on top of the game, but then you're like also trying to like film the next coolest thing, as you guys both know. Yeah, it's always a bit of a challenge.
Bit of juggling.
Yeah,
But you're good at juggling.
pretty good at juggling.
Yeah.
And also in such a dangerous sport, it's kind of like, if you know that you have an event coming up in a couple of weeks, you definitely don't want to be injured for that. And also, if you film and edit, you don't want to suck in that one. You actually want to do something really cool. So that's it's actually impossible to like kind of make those two work, because
It's cool for the people to hear that, so that was great. Martin, Emil, thanks for coming. We got Nicholi and Ryan Nyquist over there. We have one more question for these two. Oh, we got Reader's winning run from last year while we're swapping out guests here, so enjoy. We're back with a couple of the friendliest riders in slopestyle. One, maybe a little too friendly. Fart Friday himself, Ryan Nyquist.
What up?
Brett, how do you feel about having Mr. Fart Friday sitting on your lap?
I just want to say I restrained right there. I didn't blow him up. I didn't do that.
I think you always have one in the chamber. So we got Nicholi Rogatkin and Ryan Nyquist, new to the couch. Thanks for coming, you guys.
Cool. Yeah, man.
Big day tomorrow, so I know time is very valuable at the moment, so I appreciate you showing up. We got tons of questions for you. And if you're just tuning in, we still have more time for you to add questions. But we got a good one right here to start it out with. The Pinkbike team asks, do you think opposite tricks are underjudged? I'm excited to hear answers from all three on this couch right here.
Underjudged?
Yeah, do you think opposite tricks are underjudged?
I don't think so. I think they get the respect. I think speaking as a goofy rider, I think sometimes it gets confusing.
Yeah.
I think the judges might not
Everything was
understand.
opposite.
Yeah, so it's like I think sometimes it takes like a really knowledgeable judge to really understand like what's opposite and stuff, because especially a course like this where you're kind of winding down the mountain, changing directions and stuff, you got to kind of know which way they stand, their feet are, which way they turn. So, but as long as everybody's in the know as far as which way is your regular, which way is your opposite, then I think it's good to go.
You should have just told them that in the 90s, you always spun to the right. But
Yeah,
you heard that opposite is big in slopestyle.
The
So
first 360 I ever did was opposite, and I've been sticking to that ever since. You know?
Nicholi, you're having a ridiculous season. First of all, congrats.
Thank you.
And then on that topic, you don't do any opposite tricks, yet you can win any competition on any given day if you land your run. So explain to the viewers how much harder it is to create a run in this day and age that can win without doing any opposite tricks.
You know what? For me, not doing opposite tricks is it's about like the motivation. You know, I'm so motivated to learn tricks with more rotations, or adding a tail up in there. Opposite tricks take so much patience to learn. It takes so much perseverance because they feel so weird. That's why they're so difficult. So hats off to Brett here doing things like opposite cork sevens and pretty much oppo spinning everywhere, because that's incredibly impressive, especially from a rider perspective. Sometimes it's tough for the fans to understand because they don't really understand the difficulty. But for us, for riders, we know how much patience it takes, and we know the difficulty of doing the opposite stuff. And for me, it's just in my skill set. The opposite stuff has never really appealed too much to me, and I've been just trying to run away with trying to do some crazier maneuvers and trying to add rotations in there like the twister and stuff. So I just kind of, for me, the most exciting run for myself to do is just trying to go out there and go as wild as possible. Sometimes get a bit out of control.
Going ham? Is that
Going ham.
Exactly.
I love
We
ham.
may not be able to break down that acronym for our live viewers right now, but use your imagination. Going ham.
Yeah.
Hard as a something.
Nyquist knows. How hard is the oppo stuff?
Well, it depends what you're doing, but yeah, it's definitely different. It's kind of like your regular way, but the exact opposite. Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
you were like, Cam, you wanted to do a video once going into the crowd at Joyride and asking people to do things like
We did
sign
it.
their name, but with their other hand.
We did it,
Or,
yeah.
like throw a ball with their left hand.
Yep. And it was hilarious. You take a golfer who's borderline pro golfer, and tell him to tee off his opposite way. The ball just dribbles off the tee. We we ask people at the Longhorn to sign their credit card signature and have it match their ID so that the waitress would accept it, and it was just dribble, like completely illegible scribble. So the thing that I'm hearing is that you need to play toward your own strengths, and you guys all do a great job of that. But I think the best part of what I'm hearing right now is that you all have mutual appreciation for each other's strategies that can do equally as well in a competition. Kind of leads us into our next question that I would love to hear an answer from all of you. Our YouTube viewer Alexander asks, how many hours a week roughly do you train to maintain the standard of riding that you have? So, you train a ton, training compound. You just built a training compound. You just moved. You have 3 kids. Yeah. So give me a number of hours. Anybody jump in there?
During the season it's tough because we go to a contest and we ride all week. We take a bunch of slams. The pressure is there. We experience a lot of stress. So like when you actually get home and you want to train for the next event, you're too roach. You just want to kind of have a chill week because the next week you're going to have the same event with even more crashes and even more stress. So that identifying a number of hours is tough, at least for me, just because of how much competition I do throughout the season. I don't know about these guys. What do you guys think?
I'll try to get on my bike for at least 3 hours. Like I'll do like a 2 hours. I'll plan for a 2-hour session in the morning and a 2-hour session in the evening.
Every day?
Pretty much every day until as Nicholi said, something comes up where you gotta like
You gotta actually
or
like
and
sleep or something? Is that
yeah. Sleep
Yeah.
and eat and like have fun. But
Would it be possible for you to carve out 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening every day to get some riding in, Ryan?
I mean, at like 4 o'clock in the morning, yeah, I could get up at 4 and then carve out 2 hours.
But back to that is that doesn't happen every day. That's kind of my goal. Whether it's like an hour and a half, I actually get an hour and a half in the morning and an hour in the evening.
But you're on the bike.
Sometimes,
You're on the bike almost every day.
Yeah, for the most part.
I mean, ideally, we'd love to be on the bike every day because we enjoy riding, So it's, and usually a lot of days are they're not about training, We just like being on the bike and messing around, That's why we do this as a profession because that's like our biggest passion,
So Ryan, years and years ago, training was obviously important because you built the unit, a massive warehouse training compound that if you've ever followed BMX, you're definitely aware of the unit. And now, man, you're right up there with the best slopestyle riders in the world. You didn't have something like the unit to be able to get on that level. How did you do it?
I felt like I just kind of put my head down and worked hard. Just hard work, Obviously, a lot of the skills crossed over from BMX, and so like a lot of it was just like getting used to the bike and then realizing like the different forces involved with the 26-inch wheel versus a 20. But a lot of it really just came down to like figuring it out and just working on stuff and like living in the Santa Cruz area, like riding with everybody, like really helped me. I think a lot of it just comes down to like coming to events like this and riding like these massive drops and like kind of putting yourself outside that comfort zone and just trying things, and like trusting your instinct and trusting the fact that you have these skills, but you just don't know if you can do it. And there's a lot of like Hail Mary, like leap of faith kind of things that happened for the past 2 years for me.
Like 3 in the last drop last year.
Like 3 in the last drop last year. I'm pretty sure I remember like just twisting and then I blacked out and I remember seeing the landing and I was just like the happiest dude on the mountain at that point. But it definitely like I spent a whole winter basically just like trying to get used to the bike and trying to get used to how it felt and how it spun and the bars and all that stuff. Back to the question about the training, like it blows my mind. Like, I mean, I guess when I was younger I had like a lot more time, but this year has been really wild, dude. Like I can honestly say after Innsbruck that my bike stayed in the bag until I went to Colorado like 3 weeks later.
You were moving, you had X Games on the BMX bike.
And even on the BMX bike, on the drive across country, because I moved from Santa Cruz to North Carolina, I stopped in Salt Lake City, I rode for an hour, and then I got everything back in there, and then went to X Games, rode for like 3 or 4 days there, and then went home, and then I didn't touch a bike. So it's like, for me, I don't have as much time. It'd be nice if I did, but what I find too is when I do have the time, like, I kind of appreciate it. Like, I love the fact that I can go out there and I'm instantly like ready to fire it out, you know, because I just know I have 2 hours. So if I have 2 hours,
You don't waste it.
no, there's not a second wasted, you know. So and I actually feel bad if someone wants to talk to me on the deck because I'm just like I just want to go.
Yeah,
like,
sorry.
Just let me know.
Yeah.
Like,
You
so
kind of have to be a jerk during practice if you want to get practice.
sometimes like sometimes it's like yeah, dude. Well, hey, hold on 1 second, and then like I'll talk to you when I'm out of breath or
Yeah,
something. But
we'll
like
talk at the Longhorn or something.
yeah, something. But it's just you know I just appreciate the time I have. But it's cool to hear that everybody's charging so hard. You know, watching these guys fly down the mountain and doing all the whirly birds and all that stuff. It's like, it's insane, dude. Like, it's so much fun to watch. Like, I kind of fanboy out because, like, I like watching these dudes and their precision, like, going down there. No, I mean,
Fan.
so I'm just, you know,
Fanboy from this guy.
No, it is. But I like, you know, like being on bikes like more than half my life. Like, I can appreciate when you see someone that excels at their craft. You know, it stands out. You know, like when I lived in Greenville, like I realized that when I moved out of Greenville, like you were riding with some of the best in the world. That's how I feel when I'm up there. It's just like you get to see these guys master their craft, doing things that like only people would dream of, and they're doing it with such precision. Like, you know, you just appreciate that as a fellow rider. So, you know,
The
I love you
BMX
guys so much. You know, I just love you, and I love you, and I love you.
The BMX to MTB crossover is super fascinating to me for a bunch of different reasons. I mean, we have Ryan Nyquist, Josh Holt, and Nicholi Rogatkin as the only 3 riders from America in Joyride tomorrow. If you would have told me that 5 years ago, holy cow, what?
Right.
First of all, I would have been really just happy for the sport, the fact that you guys embraced it. And Nicholi, I remember watching you as a teeny tiny little kid, and there was talk about BMX Park in the Olympics even back then. It's actually happening now. But my first thought was, well, that's going to be the poster child of that event if that ever happens. Nicholi Rogatkin's going to be the gold medal guy. And for mountain biking, I feel so happy because when the sport started, we just wanted it to be accepted. So to have Ryan Nyquist, Josh Holt, Nicholi Rogatkin actually doing it now, it feels really cool. At what point were you made aware of slopestyle, and how was that transition for you?
I mean, I think for the case of Ryan, Josh, and I, like we always we love dirt jumping, and so the first time we ever saw slopestyle, we had so much respect and admiration for it. You know, it's just dirt jumping on big jumps with these crazy features that we've never hit before involved. So we always had a lot of respect for it, and fortunately, we were all able to get bikes and
Try it
get
out.
in on it.
Yeah.
And we were hooked straight away because it's the funnest thing ever. You know, we're just riding big jumps. We're fulfilling our biggest passion. You know, so to kind of stray away from BMX and get into this, we're still on 2 wheels, and you know we're still riding the way we love to ride, just flying high and doing big tricks. So since the first day we ever saw, we had a lot of respect for it, and we wanted to do it. And yes, we're stoked that we were able to make it happen.
Just huge balls. You know?
It's just massive, the hard to walk.
Just huge balls you guys have is like really impressive to me. Like I don't know. That's the thing is like the very first year I tried this, I got my ass handed to me at like pretty much the 2 comps I went to, which is like Prime Line and 2.6 tricks, and I just realized how far out of my element and comfort zone I was, and so like the respect just grew and grew and grew from there. But no, it's rad, dude. Like it's cool to see that slopestyle has taken its own path, and they're doing things now. Like the half cab game is insane. Like I'm sitting there watching this guy doing practice, and I'm wondering in my head like, who in the BMX world would do this? Like in like upper echelon guys, like who would seriously look at this 15-foot drop with a 15-foot out, like to the landing, and be like, I'm gonna half cab this around this planked, driveway, like road path, and I'm gonna 180, and then just like, it's like, I don't know. Like I'm sure there might be a handful of guys, but like it's sick, man. It's paving their own path, and it's amazing. So I'm stoked to be a part of it, but I'm just stoked to witness the progression.
Yeah, it's all bike riding at the end of the day, and there's certain BMX riders who would gravitate toward this. There's certain ones who wouldn't, but I'm always curious, where people get their inspiration. Brett, what other sport do you really look toward for inspiration for this sport? Now that you're, right at the top, you're not looking at yourself for inspiration. You got to pull it from somewhere else. What do you look at?
Synchronized swimming.
Yeah, I really follow synchronized swimming.
Synchronized swimming.
Quite a bit. Well, I mean, it kind of comes from all over. I've been really busy with like my house build and just riding a lot, but I don't actually follow too many other things. But I for a long time motocross, like Supercross, was a huge inspiration for me. me, like watching Ryan Dungey pull off so many wins in a row and kill photo like years before. And then also I follow quite a few BMXers.
Follow me.
I do.
Hell yeah, got that
I
follow.
only followed him because he asked me to. No, I just
Follow for a
You
follow.
followed for Fart Fridays. That's
Follow
what you
for a
followed.
follow for a
You
follow.
like a good Fart
I messaged
Friday.
him. I was like, yo, dude, I'll follow you. You can follow me back, bro.
So
Yeah,
Ryan
but-
from Pinkbike asks, Alan Cook won the whip-off this week. Who else do you think from the historic Greenville scene is going to cross over?
Oh, I don't know, man. Yeah, Alan killed it. That was sick to watch. He podiumed last year, and so to see him walk away with a win, like, and his wife and daughters here, like, it's so, I was so happy for him just for that aspect of it. But I don't know, man. Like, so, I know, like, Dan Foley's got a pretty proper whip on him. I think if we could get him accustomed to, you know, like a big bike, he might be all right. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. Like, the whip game is strong out here.
The whip game is strong. YouTube viewer Levin Gam, and now this is one, we're getting close to the end, so I want to get one that we can get answers from everybody. What's your favorite trick to watch someone else throw down? So not a trick that you do. When you're sitting up there as a fan and a rider, what's your favorite trick to watch?
I like Nyquist 7-bar.
Yeah. And that's why you follow him on Instagram.
Yeah. Check me out.
I'm gonna say the classic Tommy G 3 table can never go wrong. And I've seen, I mean, we saw him do it at Rampage on a dyno bike. We saw him do it at District Ride on the biggest jump we've possibly ever hit in a contest. You know, that it just has never gotten old. So that classic Tommy G 3 table never has ceased to impress me.
And you're doing the 3 table off the top drop.
Oh,
no, I'm-
seeing
just-
that.
You don't see that too much on the flat drop.
You know, I get it's hard because style means so much in the mountain bike world, and I feel like in my personal riding, I haven't really paid much attention to style because I've been so motivated to do those bigger tricks. So, yeah, now a few years down the road, I'm definitely trying to at least work on my style a little bit, trying to get it going a little bit, and yeah, hopefully one day I can do some steezy things that people appreciate. But I'm trying to work on it. I feel Ryan probably. Haven't you realized like how important the style is now in the mountain bike world more than in the BMX almost? Like they care so much about it.
Well, for sure. Like, but yeah, I agree. Like, there's certain stuff that's just classic. Speaking of style, I was gonna say I really like Lemoyne when he dumps the 3 off the boner.
For sure.
Like that to me is just like amazing because, you know, like I'm not super comfortable on the obstacle, but when you see him just dump it like it's a double, it's just, dude, like that's so nice.
So riding with all the other guys, you can see some of that influence just trickle in, seep into other riders.
Well, and like for you to say like you don't really concentrate on style, like you have your own style. Like you always have your own style, and whether you like it or not, there's some kid out there without a visor setting himself.
Yes.
I mean, that's you're influencing him in that way.
So rad.
You know, but
Glad
yeah,
you look at it that way.
But no, it is like everybody has their own style, whether you like it or not. Like, and I've always looked at my riding. It's like, well, I'm not the most steeziest person out there, but like, there's certain tricks that like when you see a photo of it, you're just like, I look pretty good. You know, like I'm not gonna lie, I look good in that one. You know,
It's just
but
like what you get stoked to work on.
exactly, like you know, like there's just certain ones you're just like, damn, all right, like I'm psyched on that. You know?
You got to be yourself, and you got to come up with your own ideas and not care what anybody else thinks. This question is on that topic from Pinkbike user Danny Boy Biker. Danny Boy wants to know, Ryan, do you think the judges didn't realize your half bar spin at Crankworks was an intentional trick and marked you down for it? Props for hitting the rest of the course with your hands, but with your bars backwards, by the way.
Oh, get some dicey questions in there.
Wait, I think I'd like to answer that.
Oh yeah, go for it, man.
I don't think they valued it nearly enough. That is the gnarliest thing I've ever seen. And when you zoom in practice, so many people thought it was a screw up. And
Yeah,
and
I'm
he
screwing
just
up over and over.
And he just kept doing it and kept landing with his bars backwards into the last jump. That, like, for me, that's gnarly shit.
Thank you. It was definitely gnarly. It was scary. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like the step down, the half bar spin 3 up was okay, but the step down was like really scary.
Because if you're starting to over rotate, you're.
I mean, like for so many reasons, like you know, it instantly makes like the head tube steeper. It's closer to your feet when you're riding. The brakes are switched, so like even if you just panic and you grab the back brake, that's the front brake, which is not a good thing to do. So So there's a lot of stuff that I was just like, all right. And like, to be totally honest, like I told the judges, I explained to them about it and stuff. And I think that it's something that you have to like kind of experience. Like, you know, like I think at one point all of us is like maybe caught our bars backwards.
On accident,
and, like,
yeah.
You know, you kind of pucker up a little bit and like, yeah. And so like I don't know if any of those guys have ever had that experience or ridden with the bars backwards, but like I tried to explain it, and I think what it came down to was like the wow factor wasn't there. It was a really technical kind of like thing that the riders understood, which I appreciate. Like riders, like, you know, like they came up to me and said that was insane, blah blah blah, and like, you know, thank you Danny Boy for throwing it in there. But
Yeah, Danny Boy.
But you know, it's just one of those things where I took a shot at, you know, trying to do something unique and different, and it didn't necessarily pay off in the sense of judging or score. But I was psyched that I kind of expanded my area of riding, you know, to do that.
And
like,
if you push it and did it again, you know, you could even do something like that, land with your bars backwards, and the next feature do something like flip Sui, where you need to touch the brake and you have to remember to do the opposite hand. At that point,
There's tons of possibilities out there. It just really comes down to, I mean, obviously course, but also like do you, like, for me, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I kind of got like half horseman shy after that, because I was like, well, if I'm gonna put my neck on the line like that and risk it, and then like all of a sudden it's just like, you know, like it doesn't reward, well then I can do other stuff. But yeah, thank you though, that was appreciated.
Well, I just think all of us riders appreciate it so much, because none of us would even consider doing that. So to see you throw it down perfectly in a run, like linked with tricks, like down the step, down to the last one, like you're like, we would never even consider doing that.
Yeah.
We're going to go last question, because Andrew Chandro is calling. Well, I'm feeling my phone vibrate. Brett's is vibrating. We have a Trek signing over at the Trek booth here in a minute. So we're going to go to the last question, and I'm going to direct it at you, Brett, because we're talking about opposite bar spins and unconventional things that we probably never thought we'd see in slopestyle. Somebody's asking, let me find it here real quick. There it is. MTB 182 asks, Brett, have you been playing around with a coaster hub? What tricks have you been practicing using the half cab?
Yes.
Some people don't know that you have a coaster hub on right now.
Hey, so
Okay, well, thank you, MTB 182.
Probably a Blink 182 fan or something. Or they like over-rotating their 180s. I don't know.
yeah, or they have like super long cranks.
I had a knee injury. This year over the winter, and I wasn't able to ride all winter long. I spent 5 months off my bike. And after watching Brandon last year here at Crankworks, I thought first of all, I'd already had lots of my BMX friends telling me, like, dude, you should put a coaster in your bike. I remember Mike Gray.
Yeah.
Mike Gray is like, dude, you need to put a coaster in your bike. And I remember just, I don't know, kind of just putting it off, honestly. And it kills me that I did that, because, like, here I am, like, with a coaster on my bike after someone else has already done it for the first time. But when I got to relearn how to ride again, because I had taken so many months off, I thought I might as well put one of these coasters on my bike and play around with it. Like, I got to relearn how to ride anyway, so I'm going to relearn how to ride with a coaster. And,
full plate.
It's actually one of the funnest things I've ever put on my bike. Like, I've been riding slopestyle bikes for 7 years now, and they've pretty much stayed the same the whole time. So with this coaster, yeah, I've been messing around, and I've been practicing some half cap tricks. I'm not that comfortable with the trick yet.
You're not comfortable with the trick doing it or saying it?
Yeah, I know.
Which one is it?
I'm
I
not
was gonna say the same
comfortable
thing.
doing the trick
Okay.
entirely just yet. I'm still in my first handful of them that I've ever done. So
Gotcha.
every time I jump backwards right before the takeoff, I lose my breath a little bit.
So much.
I think everybody
I lose
does.
my breath
I
seeing
lose
you
my
do
breath
it.
too.
I've already had a big crash on one where my coaster caught and engaged before the drop. So yeah, every time I do it, it's a little bit scary, and it's gonna, for me at least, gonna take a couple years to do some cool things in that trick.
On that note, a lot of anticipation for tomorrow's Red Bull Joyride. We've got 3 of the best right here. Thank you guys so much for showing up, answering our questions. And thank you everybody for tuning in all week for Pinkbike Live. This was a new thing. It's been a blast. Hopefully we do more of it in the future. But tune in tomorrow for the Slopestyle. We'll see you there.